wait, 'cause I've been missing you for oh so long. I can't wait, can't wait. Oh, see, I've been missing you. Da, 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 da. No, 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 no. Can't wait.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Friends of Our Marriage broadcast with me, Callista, and
I'm Jeff.
it is great to have you here, and we are excited to have you join us. First thing we want to do is tell you the word of the day.
The word of the day is inspire.
Inspire. Today's word for the day is inspire. Make sure you enter this word to be eligible to win a free prize. Go out to I Do Me Too, and I will put that up here real quick. idometoo.org and go to prizes and put in inspire, today's word of the day, and then win a chance or stand to win a chance for prizes, like you see listed there. Okay, today we asked some friends to join us, and we would like to introduce them and bring them on. It is Lindsay Ritter and Bobby Murphy, and we are so glad that they chose to join us. Thank you guys very much. We appreciate it. We are going to, first of all, the subject that we are on today is
Trust.
trust. So we're going to be talking about trust in your marriage and trust in God. And according to imom.com, 10 interesting facts about marriage. Number 7 is
The most crucial element for a happy marriage, more than friendship, laughter, forgiveness, compatibility, and sex. Spouse named trust as the element crucial for a happy marriage.
so obviously trust is up there, pretty high. And we want to start off with some little fun activities. And this is how we're going to do it. Start out with your clean piece of paper. Get something to write with and be ready to play Who Knows Best. And you're going to make 2 columns. Write your answer to the question first, and then guess how you think that your spouse will answer. Don't look at each other's answers, though. Don't cheat. No, don't cheat. And then we will go over the results to see who knows who best. Okay. Our first question is this.
Which one of you is the most romantic? The wife, the husband? Both of us are equally romantic. Neither is really romantic. What is romance anyway? So, which one of you is the most romantic? The wife, the husband? Both of us are equally romantic. Neither is really romantic. And what is romance anyway? That's number D. So for me,
No. You're supposed to be putting them on paper.
I don't have any paper. I'm keeping them up here in my head.
Okay. All right, go ahead. What do you say? What is your answer?
I would say both of us are equally romantic. I mean, we both have our days where we do for each other or do something little that is romantic. So, I mean, having a kid and having a mother in the house, I mean, I guess we have to pick and choose our times that we are romantic. So, I don't know. I guess it depends on what is romantic to you. So,
What do you think I would say?
I would say that you would say me because I think that's what you would say.
Okay, so I said him, And I thought he would say him too. So I guess he knows me better than I know him. How about you guys? How'd you fare?
Go ahead.
Is that us?
Yeah, you guys.
Well, my answer was C. Both of us are equally romantic, and I thought that he would choose C as well.
I did.
What did you say?
My answer was B, and I thought her answer would be B.
For me, I don't know why I feel like he's more romantic, but I do. Probably because I feel like some of the romances pittered out, I don't know. I need to do a better job of that, I guess.
Yes. I would say that you do. Yes.
I think it also depends on like what you define as romantic. So I think sometimes, if people have different definitions of what they would think as romance, that might change whether they think it's, equally us or just one or the other too.
Uh-huh. Can you guys turn your volume up just a little bit? Let's go to the next question. Question 2.
If you could choose an anniversary outing, which of the choices below would you prefer? A, an all expense paid trip with VIP seating at a Super Bowl game. B, all expense paid trip with VIP seating to the Grammys. C, an all expense paid trip to Disney World. Or D, an all expense paid trip to an extra in a Marvel Comics movie. If you could choose an anniversary outing, which of the choices below would you prefer? Super Bowl game, Grammys, Disney World, or Marvel Comics movie?
Be an extra in Marvel Comics movie.
Yeah. You want to go first?
No. Don't go first.
Did they say us go first?
Yeah, you guys go first.
Okay. You start. Oh, I start. Okay. My answer was A, to go to the Super Bowl, and I said that I think he would say A.
Okay.
I guess I'm apparently a dumb jock, so that's why she picked that.
Well, it'd be fun.
The answer I had was D, and I thought her answer would also be D.
Yeah? Why is that?
One, because she likes Marvel movies. Two, I don't like to drag her, although she know I love and played eat, sleep, and breathe sports. I wouldn't take her to A.
Why?
And this is an anniversary outing, so I thought that would be very unique. That's why I picked D.
Uh-huh. I like it. So for me, I said C, all expense paid trip to Disney World. And I put A for him. I just thought he knows, I was thinking he knows that I know he's wanted to go to a Super Bowl game for a long time. So he'll probably think I'm going to say A, Super Bowl. I was trying to outguess him.
No, I thought you would say that, but I put C for both of us. I mean, we've been on a Disney cruise, and I know the Disney cruise that we went on before wasn't very well for you. So I just thought that if we went and did it over in a different way, that it would be beneficial for both of us. Yeah, I would love to go to a Super Bowl game, but I know, like Bobby knows, that both of our teams haven't been in quite a while, but mine's more recently. But so I threw that out the window. So
I wouldn't want to do the Super Bowl because if I'm not saving up for 30 years, I'm probably gonna be in the nosebleeds anyway.
No,
So
that
VIP is still not on the ground. VIP is up. So
I would only want to go to a Super Bowl game if my team was in, and if my team wasn't in it, I don't know if I would enjoy it so much. So unless they play Bobby's team, but they're in the same division, so that would never work. So
Uh-oh. Let's move on to the don't you question.
carry on.
Okay, the next question.
if you have an argument, which one is the first to apologize and make peace? The wife is primarily peacemaker. B, the husband is primarily peacemaker. Both of us is usually apologize at the same time. Or D, we don't apologize too often. We just forget about the argument. So if you have an argument, which one is the first to apologize and make peace? The wife, the husband, both of us, or we don't? So I'm gonna go. I can go. I think if we have an argument, I think it would be me because I don't really. I mean, I ain't gonna say I don't like to argue, but if it's something trivial, well, not trivial, isn't that really trivial, but it takes two to argue, and usually when you argue, there's no peace in a home, you know, and to argue takes a lot of energy, and it's energy that I could be used, I could use to be doing something different. I remember when me and Calista first got together, we hardly ever argued about anything. I think it was probably well into a year and a half before we had our first argument. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and then it was we had two different ways of arguing. She was more of a yeller and I was more this, as I'm talking to you guys, kind of calm and stuff. And I don't like to be yelled at. And so I remember our first argument, she was yelling and she was screaming. And I can remember what it was about, but I'm not going to divulge in that. And I just had to kind of like, why are you yelling at me? If when you feel a little bit cooler, you can come to me and we can discuss this calmly. But I understand that when your emotions are high, then you get into that rage. I'm gonna call it rage because you're just blinded with emotions, and so everything gets elevated to a different level. And at that point, to me, it's easy to lose focus or not lose focus. You can lose focus, and then you can also maybe say something that you later would regret and then have to go back and apologize. So, we have arguments now, but it's mainly we try to keep a cool tongue about it, and I had to learn over time that the word says that when we're agitated that we should you know quiet our tongue. So that's what I try to do. It doesn't always come off that way, but I don't want to have to go back. I don't want to say something that I would later regret because I don't really want to hurt her feelings, intentionally. And so I don't know, but we do argue, but not at the expense of yelling, I guess I should say.
Not at DEFCON 5. What do you think I would say?
I would say that you would say probably me as well, that I'm the first to apologize.
So I said that I thought it was, let me go back to the question here. I thought it was both of us usually apologize, but not really at the same time. It's more like both of us usually apologize 50% of the time. One of us steps forward first. Okay. But I thought that he would say him because when we first got married, it was always him. And he's right. I grew up in a world where arguing was screaming and yelling at each other. And so that's really all I knew. But yeah, in his specific words in our first argument was, um, who do you think you're yelling at? I am a grown man. When you're ready to talk, you can come see me. And turned around and walked away. So that was a learning experience for me. And I'm grateful for it because I didn't realize that I had options when I disagree with someone. I mean, I did, but how to handle it was completely different. And he kind of walked me through that. And there were times that, I mean, I didn't change immediately, of course, but there were times that that he would kind of give me this look and I would know, oh, I'm getting elevated here. So he did a really good job of two things when we first got married was we can have an argument and it still be civil. And the other thing was peace in our home because, my family is not always peaceful, as you might know, because I said we solve things by arguing. And a lot of unrest that came during the first part of our marriage was due to something that my family was doing or had done, or, I disagreed with the choices that they made, or, but that's their life and I can't control that. And I had to learn to let go of that. They make the choices that they make, and that's their option to do so because they're grown adults. So I kind of had to learn to take on peace, even though I didn't agree with everything that people were doing. And that was a huge one for me as well. So I give him lots of credit for walking me through that as he was living in that daily. So he was a good example. How about you guys? What did you do?
Danica? Oh. I said usually both of us at the same time, but kind of like you, maybe not like at the exact same time, but I think we equally take ownership of when we need to apologize for something. And then I said, I thought he said C as well.
Can you put the choices up there again? Let me.
Yeah.
No, yeah, okay, I had it right. So I for myself put D, because I don't think there are times that we apologize enough, um, as much as we should. Not that we argue a lot. So I put D, but I thought that her answer would be A for her, because there are times that um, she may not verbally apologize, but her actions might be um, of being apologetic or wanting to move on or to patch things up or to find some kind of closure. I think that the challenge is there's some time where you need closure and there's some time where there isn't necessarily closure. So um, a lot of times I think couples go at it looking for that closure and the argument goes on because you don't know how to just accept the fact that some things just don't have closure. And sometimes I think people will apologize when they've come to that agreement or come to an understanding or come to whoever it is or who's ever at fault. Then I think that's when sorry, in my opinion, comes out. But um, I picked D, and I thought that she would pick A.
Okay. Apologizing is a tough one. I mean, even like trying to teach our kids, about apologizing. It's that flesh in us that just doesn't want to be wrong. It always fights against an apology. And I think that apologies are something that we have the most trouble with, even with our son, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, and you're right. You can apologize. Oh, I'm sorry I did this, but are you really sorry? You know, when I was growing up, or what I've learned is someone told me not to say sorry, because you could be sorry or just be a sorry person, but to say that I was wrong for something that I did holds a little bit more weight. If I was wrong, then that means that I am going to try to change whatever behavior that I did. And I think kids, they say they sorry because maybe we tell them, or, maybe even they might have felt it, but they're kids. I don't know if they're going to change. I can only speak for myself. If I did something that I knew was wrong, I could say, yeah, I was sorry, but, I don't know if I'm wasn't going to do it again if I had the opportunity to do it. But, being in a relationship now, if I say that I'm wrong to Callista about something, then to me it kind of holds a little bit more weight. It makes it a little bit more personal, because then I have to look at what was it that I did that was harmful to her, and then change the behavior. Most of the time, like you said, the flesh is weak, and the flesh wants what it wants when it wants it. And I can say I'm sorry, but does that mean that I'm actually going to change? Sometimes it doesn't. It just means that maybe if I say I'm sorry to you for this particular incident, maybe it'll take the heat off in that moment. But to say that I'm wrong gives it back on me that maybe I need to change something, pray to my God to remove whatever character defect that is continuing for me to act in a certain way. So not that I'm perfect at it, but there's times that I just don't want to continue to cause her grief. And so I know that sometimes I can't do it by myself, that I need help. I need help from my Heavenly Father, who is willing to give it to me, but I have to ask for it. And if I don't ask for it, I don't know if I can do it on my own. Most things I know I can't, because again, the flesh is weak. So,
well, I want to clear something up real quick before we move on. I don't want to be misunderstood. I guess what I'm saying is this: when I'm wrong, whether I understand it on my own or whether it was pointed out to me, whether it's something I did intentionally or unintentionally, I am the first to apologize. Let me just state that. I think she will give me that much credit. What I'm basically saying, what I got from this question, and maybe I took it the wrong way, is if there's a disagreement and you kind of can't come to a resolution, the patching up of that with the closure of understanding that there is no solution or resolution or no closure, then I think we lack a little bit of getting back on track, is what I'm saying. But if I personally have done something, I'm one of the first to stand up to apologize when it comes to that, or for doing or not doing, or doing less of or more of, or to no longer do this or do that. So maybe I misunderstood the question, but when it comes to disagreements or arguments or whatever the case may be you have, and you can't come to a common ground, I guess what I took from that is that there's not enough coming back together and understanding that we just got to agree to disagree.
That makes sense. What do you think? Nothing? Okay. I am going to play a video real quick here. So we will be right back, okay?
We had to travel the world of our past to realize it was harder before, cause we weren't by each other's side. Maybe it took a little longer to know together we're stronger. That's the way our love survived. Now we've gone through the fire. Love will take us higher, higher than it was before. We went through love and war. See the promised land, walking hand in hand. Now that we can understand what we were fighting for, fighting for love, love, fighting for love.
All right, that just gives you an idea about what Friends of Your Marriage is about. And, it's very true. The one thing that stands out most to me about that, at least this season in my life, is that I want people who can hurt when I hurt and who can celebrate my marriage when we need to celebrate and who can help us turn things around. And it truly is a judgment free zone. So, there's no right answer. And each of our lives are woven a little bit differently. So, my right answer may be different than someone else's, but it doesn't mean that we can't or um, won't love both of you. I mean, that's kind of what Friends of Our Marriage is about. And I really enjoy the couples that we have come to know through this. And I am going to put up a little slide here. We have additional broadcasts regarding Friends of Your Marriage on Mondays, and that is Mondays at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, with the Sloans. We have the Jamals on Tuesdays, and that is at 7 Central, 8 Eastern. And then we have us on Saturdays. And we also have the Rudges, who are co-hosts. Sometimes they come in and they have conversations with us, and we really enjoy what they have to offer as well. So okay, now I'm going to play another video here.
Now it's time to explore Bible-based answers to real-life issues, with questions that help get a better understanding about the Bible verse for our featured topic. You can find the interactive lesson and assignments at idometoo.org. Click to access this week's assignments, and then go to number 2 to complete Bible study lesson, and click Go to Interactive Bible Study. Click Start Course, and then just scroll through the lesson and get started. Now, let's get started with the Bible verse and study questions.
So that the Bible lessons, they're kind of geared toward memorizing the verses so that when we need them in times of trouble or whenever, you memorize that verse and you could call it up. You can recall it, which is really nice. So it's a lot of repeating and repeating and repeating, so you get to know the Bible verse. So on that note, let's get started. Oh, where'd my Bible verse go? There it is. All right, our Bible verse for today.
As for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is proven. He is a shield to all who trust in him. Psalms 18-30. Again, as for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is proven. He is a shield to all who trust in him. You want to start?
Yeah, I just want to say here for a little bit of background on this Bible verse. This is David speaking here, and he is in a time in his life. He wrote it when God has delivered him from all of his enemies, and specifically Saul, who was trying to kill him. So I want to read a little thing that I saw. The Christian life is not easy. Anyone who claims that salvation is your life is lying. That's John 16:33. The apostles certainly faced hardship and opposition for the sake of Christ, and we should not expect anything different. That's 2 Timothy 3:12. Nevertheless, the Lord uses every difficulty we encounter to develop Christ-like character in us. Romans 5:3-5, 8:28-30. But Romans 8:35-39 guarantees that not even harsh adverse. Let me start that again. Romans 8:35-39 guarantee that even harsh adversities are not indicators that God no longer loves us. Writing from a prison, the Apostle Paul testified, I know how to be brought low and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Philippians 4:12-13. Indeed, God's way is perfect, and he is a shield for all who look to him for protection. I just thought it was worth giving a little bit of history on where this verse came from. So, as for God, his way is perfect. This is David, the word of the Lord is proven. He is a shield to all who trust in him. So, David is, he has been through the fire now. He has had many enemies, many adversities, and, has currently just been brought out of the fact that Saul was trying to kill him. So that gives you an idea, a history of the Bible verse. So first question regarding the Bible verse. You want to read it?
What is your favorite characteristic of God? What experiences do you think that God enjoys?
You go.
My favorite characteristic, I believe, would be that God forgives us multiple times, because I mess up plenty of times and currently ask him for forgiveness, and he gives it to me. Believing in him and being baptized, I enjoy the fact that I have someone that I can, get on my knees and humble myself and just ask for forgiveness, and it's given. Sometimes I feel like I'm not worthy of forgiveness, but I know that he forgives, and this the fact that, who else will die? Who else would have died for my sins? Who loves me that much? And he does, and he continues to. And whenever I feel like I get myself in a rut, whenever I sincerely feel like I'm ready to get out of that, he's always there. He's always there. I just have to call his name, Jesus, please help me, and I feel like he just lifts me out of that, and gets me on my way. It may not happen immediately, but in his time, things seem to happen according to his word. And I have to realize that it's always on his time, not mine, because I'm impatient. I want things now, but, if I continue to grow and continue to be nurtured, things seem to happen in the orderly fashion that it's meant to. What's your favorite characteristic?
My favorite characteristic of God is, I had a hard time. Grace and mercy. I couldn't decide between the two. But and I think that, what experience do you think that God enjoys? I think that any experience with us that we include him in, and that we're trusting him in, God enjoys. And that's just, anything that we voluntarily include him in and that we trust in him for, I think that he enjoys it. So anytime we allow him in,
I don't think it necessarily have to be one. I think the more characteristics that we have that he likes probably brings him more joy. If we're able to love our neighbor, if we're able to support his kids who are in need, if we're able to just do things unselfishly, there can be all type of characteristics that brings him joy. So I don't necessarily think that this question means one characteristic. I mean, anything can be a favorite. I have a favorite football team. I have a favorite baseball team. So I have a favorite characteristics. I like to give sometimes and I like to receive. But I think there's probably more than one that is enjoyable to God, because I don't know. I don't know if I could name one characteristic that would be any more important than any other. Maybe love, but we all strive to love, but I don't know. I think that there's more than one.
what's your guys' opinions?
Well, it's hard for me to pick a favorite characteristic of God, but one that I've been appreciating a lot recently in my life is just the patient understanding that I feel he gives me as my father. I feel childlike where I can not have it all together, and that's okay because he is patient with me. He walks with me, he grows me, and he doesn't stop trying to grow me just because I'm having a moment or a season where maybe I'm not my best, So I feel thankful for that characteristic of him, that I can just be a child in his arms and I don't have to have it all together. And then, kind of like you said, for the experiences of what experiences do I think God enjoys? I'm kind of watching the comments too, and I would agree. I think it's about loving one another. When we asked, when asked what are the greatest commandments, it was love God with your heart, soul, mind, but then love each other as you love yourself. So
Yeah.
Mr. Murphy?
I'm going to say his unconditional love. I'll start with that. One thing about us, it's God and the rest of us basically, is that we're nothing like him. Our flesh is weak. Our emotions, who we are made of, we can lose love for a person or persons for doing something to us. Where God has unconditional love, that when we do things that are not of his way, that he does not agree with, he still loves us. During that, I think a couple of you either wrote it or said it, it's loving one another. We know that, but I can't say that we always practice that, because what happens is a lot of times in our flesh is judgment gets in the way, which is also one thing that he does not exercise nor do, but he forgives us when we do it. I see him as um, firm but fair. I mean, a few of you, Jeff and Clissy, you know what I've been through with my health with 2 kidney transplant. When I had nothing left and no other way in my own, one thing I had to learn was that he was the only way. And what I think he enjoys the most is that when people have faith in him and truly believe in it, live by it, eat, sleep, and breathe it. And then when he does his work, not to be selfish and act as if he didn't do it, but to also acknowledge and praise him for what only he can do, if that makes sense.
Yeah. does. Okay. Okay. So, for those of you who might be making comments, our chat does not seem to be crew. Lindsay said she could see them. Lindsay, can you read a couple of those for me?
Yeah. Okay. Aaron said, that God loves me is incredible. Prayer is an opportunity for God to hear our requests and perspectives about what we are going through.
Mhm.
Then I Do Me Too said the answer to the question number 1 is love. And then number 2, I think that God enjoys when we show love to each other.
Mhm.
And then Aaron said, remember, we were made in his image. We can do more than we do.
Can. So,
I think those
okay.
are the most recent ones. But yeah, people have been coming into the chat kind of throughout the whole time.
Okay. Do me a favor whenever you see one pop up, just, hey, here's a chat, read it to me. I
Okay.
don't ours is not working. There's nothing coming through in our chat. So, I don't know, probably had something to do with the start of our when we were trying to get the sound to work. So, okay. We'll move on to the next question.
What does it mean for God's way to be perfect? How can people be perfect? What would make you have a perfect marriage? Again, what does it mean for God's way to be perfect? How can people be perfect? What would make you have a perfect marriage? You want to start?
Hey, Calista, is your screen full size?
No, it's small. So I have like two small bricks, two small squares.
I think you mean the outlook thing.
Oh, let me see if no. Yes, it's a bit as big as it can get. So I don't know. I have a button that I can hit for the chat, and there's nothing in it. So, and I could see that there are people viewing, and I thought this is strange that there's no chat. So, so for me, what does it mean for God's way to be perfect? Perfect, in my opinion, means it's tried. As kind of like tried as metals are tried by the fire and they're proved genuine. Perfect is without blemish or spot, free from human mixtures or contaminations, without impurities or unholiness, nothing defective, nothing redundant. That's God. And I think the only way that people can be perfect is through him. And it doesn't mean that we'll ever be perfect to another human, but as long as we keep God in it, our marriage, God will work that out for us. He will make it perfect for us. So, for a long time I said that our marriage was a perfect marriage. It doesn't mean that it was somebody else's perfect, but it was perfect for us, and it may have been flawed to someone else, but it worked and it was good for us, so, and that was that first 10 years, Jeff, as he was teaching me those things that I talked about, how to keep my peace and how to argue without yelling. It was a nice change for me. So And that helped in my opinion, make a perfect marriage for me. So,
Me and Calissa went over this yesterday, and this question kind of threw me because when I thought about this, I thought about Pastor Dan. I thought about, when we went through marriage classes at Cornerstone, part of well, we had to go to marriage counseling classes in order to get married at Cornerstone at that time. But I remember whenever Pastor Dan mentioned anything about marriage, the thing he always said was marriage, in his view, was a God. Marriage is a union to a perfect God to live with an imperfect person. So, when me and Calista went over this question, I was like, well, people aren't perfect. And then we went into some of the scriptures, and what I realized was that his ways are perfect. And the longer that we're in his ways, then we're being as perfect, I believe, that we can be. If we are being humble in any situation, if we are giving in any situation, if we're doing Christ-like things, I believe that we are doing the perfect will of God. But yet, if we aren't doing those things, in my view, then we're not being perfect. Because I don't believe I'm a perfect person, and I, don't always wake up and want to be loving. I don't always wake because I don't think I'm a morning person. I think I'm an evening person, but I can get up in the morning and get started with my day, but I remember when I was at work, when I had a day job, and I could get up and do things, but I didn't like to be spoken to until like 10 o'clock or so. And then after 10, everything was fine. But you know, at sometimes other people would speak to me, and I could hear you, and I might not respond, and I don't think I was, showing myself godlike or being, useful, but I got out of that. But I feel like that for me, that if I'm doing the will of God, then whatever I'm doing in my life towards his children, then I'm on the perfect road that will lead me to him, and maybe that would attract maybe some of those non-believers to him as well.
what's you guys' opinions?
Well, I can start first. There are a couple things in the chat. One person said, "We too often try to fit God into a person-sized hole. God is perfect, we are not." Another person said, "Our marriage is perfect because God ordained it. Even though we may have issues, that's all part of His perfection."
Mm-hmm.
And then one more just came in, said, number one, flawless. Two, when we are as he designed us to be. So that would be, how can people be perfect? And then for the third question, um, I do have a perfect marriage. We have contrasting storms and seasonal celebrations that we both go through.
Oh, I like that.
He said, we love each other through it all as we are designed to be. I guess to me, what does it mean for God's way to be perfect? I kind of agree with the word flawless. I also, the word consistent comes to mind for me. Perfection is something that is all the time consistent. And so any deviation from that is not perfection, So I guess for God, he always is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So that to me is his way is perfect. I don't think people can be perfect in our flesh as this world, but I do believe the Holy Spirit can grow in us the more that we surrender ourselves to that, and we can walk more perfectly in the path that God has for us. I think, kind of as you guys have said, when we are walking the path that God has made for us, and turning to him for discernment, for wisdom to guide us on that path, that is probably when we're as close to being perfect as we can in this fallen world. But I do believe that perfection and all of that comes once we are no longer tied to this flesh of this world. And then what would make you have a perfect marriage? I don't enjoy the word perfect because I think in our society it brings too much of like, this is the box you fit in. And I don't think that there is a box that a marriage can fit in. Like you said, Callista, what is perfect for you might not be perfect for somebody else, but it's your perfect marriage. And so I think for me, if I'm answering this question, a perfect marriage is not that it's happy all the time, but that there's that love and respect and commitment through it all. So kind of like the comment saying, of going through storms, but also having, celebrations of our highs. I think that's when you can go through those things with love and respect and commitment to one another, that to me is what would make a perfect marriage.
Great. How about you, Mr. Murphy?
What does it mean for God's way to be perfect? Well, let me give you my answer. I don't know if it, instead of going by each of those questions, maybe it's all tied in. What I actually have and what I feel about this is he's laid a perfect path to a perfect union and marriage. And if we can trust that and live as close as possible to that path, then I think he sees that as being perfect. It's kind of like commenting. It's kind of like celebrating and commenting on, for example, on a sports type of a example. When one child does something and then you show them the correct way of doing it, you say perfect. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily perfect to the T, but it just means that between effort and the want and the trust in what you've given them on how to do it, then that their way is perfect. It's the effort. So if that makes sense, his path that he's laid is the perfect way. And although we're not perfect, if we can follow that straight and narrow path as close as possible, opposed to veering off left, veering off right, then to him that is perfect.
Yeah.
That's my answer, probably without going through the bullet points of those, but that's what that means to me.
That's very good. I like that. I like that analogy. So here's another question. What is the word of the Lord, and how is the word of the Lord proven to you? Go ahead, you guys. What's your thoughts?
What does the question mean? What is the word of the Lord?
Well, so for me, I put down, my first thought was the word of the Lord is tried, tested, and true. The truth of God's promises is certain, it's faithful, it's constant, it's invariable. So that to me is the word of the Lord, and we have to fill ourselves with the Bible, what the Bible says. And I didn't really, I guess maybe I didn't think about it, but how is the word of the Lord proven to you? Every day, the word of the Lord is proven to me because I wake up every morning and there's something for me to be grateful for every day. And every minute of the day, if I am allowing God in it, it's proving to me that he's there. Just like you had said earlier, Lindsay, that, oh, now I lost my thought. Well, go ahead. So, what do you guys think?
Well, looks like Aaron, I don't know if we read this type a few minutes ago. I don't think God made us imperfect. Shouldn't the designer have to say about what perfection is? And Sandra said the word of the Lord is the Bible, but also when he speaks to you. Aaron, about a minute ago, said the word of the Lord today for me is faithful. And then he just typed, he is faithful.
Yeah.
What is the word of the Lord? Although I haven't quite put that into words yet, but how is the word of the Lord proven to you? What that means to me is that everything that I've been through, that my flesh didn't understand, that I may never understand, the excuses that I may have made, the wanting to feel sorry for myself in the flesh, as we always do. If you're really being true to yourself, no matter what we've all been through, at the end of the day, he's been right there. A lot of times we waste a lot of emotions in life, do stress, do harmful things to ourselves. But when you stop and reflect on it, he was there the whole time. Our flesh gets impatient because we want things right away. When he does things in his own time. But then what I laugh at sometimes is that all the emotions that we all spend on certain things we can't control, just to realize that he brought us through it. But one thing about this thing in life, including just as early as yesterday, it's only but so much we can control. But at the end of the day, he's there the whole time. And studying and getting in the Bible, getting as close as possible to the Word as possible, to Him as possible, we have that comfort. But how is the Word of the Lord proven to you? Everything I had and lost, me being here today, us being here today, us being on this call, that's not our doing. It's not by accident. So um, that second part of the question is, how is it proven to you? I mean, I guess the question back is how has it not been proven to me? If I'm really being real about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Well,
me, I like what Sandra was saying when she said it's the Bible, but also when he speaks to you. I feel like the more that I've studied his word, the more clearly I can hear when he is talking to me. If you don't read his voice, you're not going to know it's his voice when he speaks to you. So the more that you understand his word, I think the more he can reveal to you in other ways as well.
exactly.
Sandra just said, the word is proven to me when I trust him and follow him. He brings me through in the end.
Mhm.
You know, I'll make one last statement here, and it's about a lot of things, but when it comes to our spirituality and our relationship with the Lord, when you really think about it, it's a lifestyle change. You know, when you work out, you want to lose weight. When you work out, when you want to put muscle on, it's a lifestyle change. You can't be halfway in, can't be halfway out. But at the end of the day, because we're not perfect, we're in and we're out. And again, it goes back to what I said as far as laying that path. The thing about his sheep is if we can get back on that path, I think he enjoys that the most, even though we get sidetracked, get lost. But in saying that, is that I truly believe that um, I just truly believe that, man.
Yeah. I think that's a good one.
I like that analogy you said about the sheep. It reminds me about the song, that God will always go after that one lost sheep. He knows about the 99 that's there, but that one lost sheep that's out in the field, he cares more about that one to bring that one back in than the others that are gathered together. And, we are that lost sheep. It's like, anytime that we bear off of the road, to me, I'm that lost sheep. I'm the one over by the rail that knows not to go, but have went anyway. And whenever any one of God's people can his you know his what the field workers can bring me back. I think that's what God enjoys the most. You know, so to me, the word of the Lord is whatever you're going through at that in that day. It could be trust. To me, it could be trust. It could be love. It can be enduring. It could be forgiveness. It could be anything. There's a lot of words in our English, dictionary. So all of it ties in some way that can be useful to others. I think that's what, to me, that the word of the Lord is to help someone else that may need help.
Well, we are past our time and we don't want to waste yours. So, Bobby and Lindsay, will you stay on with us until after we do our outro? We'll be right back. Whoops. Okay. Word of the day, honey.
I forgot it. I forgot the word of the day. What is it? Inspire? Was that it? I don't know. I didn't write it down. Sorry. Just say just word.
Inspire.
You guys remember it?
Inspire.
Inspire. Word of the day, inspire. Go to idometoo.org and register to win your prize. And we are saying our goodbyes. Love you all.
We had to travel the world of our past to realize it was harder before cause we weren't by each other's side. Maybe it took a little longer to know together we're stronger. That's the way our love survived. Now we've gone through the fire. Love will take us higher, higher than it was before we went through loving